Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Pit Against, a live Flesh and Blood call-in show. I'm joined by my constant co-host, Kevin Smurf Murphy. Kevin, what's up?
Not much. Back from LA.
Yeah? Pro Tour?
Good weekend.
Calling.
Fun weekend. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. All right. For all of you watching, Pit Against is a live call-in show. If you would like to be live, on air, talking to us about your take, your Flesh and Blood take, join the Pit Against Discord by clicking on the link that's in the description. We have also put it in chat. Then join the waiting room channel where you put your hot take into the topics channel, and then we'll take your take, pull you in for a mic check, and then put you on air, something like that. Kevin, banned and suspended went up. Are we starting with that?
Yes, it did. Yeah.
Banned and suspended went up.
Yep.
I feel like that's all a lot of people are going to be talking about lately, but more specifically,
Until,
yeah,
5 hours ago, but yeah.
Well, yes.
Perfect ban and suspended. 10 out of 10. No notes.
Okay, next topic. We're gonna talk about.
Yep.
All right, no. There's a lot of interesting takes going around on this, right? So
Nope, they nailed it.
They nailed it. The banned and restricted announcement is Berserk is banned in CC and Blitz. Crown of Seeds is banned in Classic Constructed, and the simple reasoning is that they cause problems in creating cards in the future, right? Like they cause they
cause problems creating cards in the past.
Well, yes, yeah, right. So like every time they specifically were like every time we're looking at a brute card, like making a brute card, we have to be like, well, how does this work with Berserk? We're not going to break the game, right?
Yeah.
Which is very good foresight on them to recognize this problem and to handle it in the way they did. But there are some interesting takes about their word choice and then also when and why they did it, right? So I wanted to go over real quickly. My take is that Berserk didn't need to get banned in Classic Constructed or Blitz right now, right? And to elaborate it on a little bit, is it broken right now? Is it breaking anything right now?
I don't think it's breaking anything.
Okay.
I think it is kind of an unfun experience for people will have fun playing Berserk because it's silly and high rolly and just mega variants. It's basically never fun for the opponent, like literally ever. There's zero. So it's not played in KO right now. It's seen the most play in Rhinar.
Okay.
Which it turns into literally a zero interaction experience. You can't even tech against it. There's no tech against it.
If you can do a small Berserk combo, you can take their whole hand and deal damage. Yeah. Okay.
You just quad intim them and there's zero interaction. And they in Philly, I got Berserked for 28 because I got quad intimed before anything could happen. Yeah.
I need to get out more, right? So like every time I've seen someone play Berserk, I sit back in my chair with a smile on my face because it's a free win. Because every time I've ever seen Berserk played, it was a low roll or it ended in at least worse value than if they had something else in their hand. Sometimes it pops off though.
That Rhinar build is much more consistent, but there's literally zero interaction.
Okay.
It's like there's none. Like other than like Warmongers.
So what I was hoping is you wouldn't say all that.
Well,
so what I was expecting was more of a, nah, it's not broken. And then I was going to go back with a, aha, it's not broken. We can ban it later. And if they put like a banned on this day and they put it like a month or 5 out, then that's fine.
The deck is not consistent enough to like push it to the forefront of the metagame.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's healthy for the game.
That's fair and true. Is that something that they ended up bringing up where they were calling the card unhealthy currently?
I don't know. I do think it is just kind of an unhealthy card for the game. And it hasn't fully broken. It isn't broken right now.
Okay.
I still think it can be unhealthy. Like broken in referring to it's the best deck. Nothing else can touch it. That's just it. It's not OP,
Yes.
but it is unhealthy.
Okay. That's understandable.
I think this is a perfectly reasonable time to ban it.
Yes. You do. Okay, wait. So it's a perfectly reasonable time to ban it just because it is an unfun play experience?
It is unfun, but also their reasoning of there are just going to be sets down the road where they like it is limiting design space for them where they can't print certain cards that they want to. They can ban it whenever they want because it's not at the forefront of the meta right now. If there are 2 cards in this KO Armory deck that suddenly Berserk is insane and it's played in every route and it just works.
Well, I mean, is my suggestion of like it's banned on this day? Banned, give a date. Is that bad? Because then it's like telling everyone up ahead of time. Well, I mean, like, no, it's banned now. It's not like
you want to give 2 months, not 1 week.
Yeah, or like when the KO deck comes out, like they could say banned until this comes out.
So what is the actual difference if it's not being played widely competitively? We didn't see anyone play it at PTLA.
Armories. You don't care.
Nope. Nope.
I can kind of get that.
If people are only taking this deck to their armory,
yeah,
that's kitchen table almost. If they're only taking it to armories,
almost.
If they're only taking it to armories, there's nothing stopping you from playing this card in casual games to have fun with it. But if you would take it, if you're the guy who's taking it to the Philly events and the Battle Hardened and the PTI, I get it. It sucks. That is what it is. But if you're going to talk about casual players and they can't play this hero or they can't play their card anymore, you can still play it. There's nothing stopping you from playing it casually.
Yeah. Okay. So, what's the next?
It not being
season. Like, Pro Tour,
PQ season.
Like PQ season. Next season is PQ season. Next local level season or whatever is PQ season. Okay.
Like regional.
I guess getting that said before PQ season, like reasonably before PQ season, is a good thing, and I can understand that. I'd rather that happen. As kitchen table is interesting. Like it's not. It's the closest thing we have.
Like it is purely casual. Like there's nothing stopping me from playing Icelander, a game of Icelander, with my friends. There isn't.
True, but at an armory?
Sure. But like if you're talking about this is the impact on casual players,
they're just going to do what they want.
They can just do what they want anyways.
That's a good point. It's armory's in a weird spot, right? Because it's not we don't have like we don't have like UPF nights, like commander nights.
Yes.
And so armories are in a awkward spot where you don't have casual nights as much. Actually, the situation we're finding ourselves in right now is we have casual stores, right? So this store only runs UPF events. This store only runs CC events. Canada only runs draft events. That's foreshadowing. I guess that is kind of a little bit the problem, and where people are probably complaining about I can't play Berserk at my armory anymore, and it's like, well, you would in a UPF game, you totally would, and you can just in your free time just have a Berserk deck, but then also have your CC deck that you'll use. Like you go to the armory and you play a couple of games with your ProQuest deck that you're going to play in a few weeks. And then after the armory, you stick around, play 2 games with your Berserk deck. And the other guy goes, that deck sucks.
I don't want to play against that. I don't want to
play against that. All right. That makes sense. Crowded Seeds being banned is bull, but whatever.
No, that card is degenerate. Get rid of it. I called that it was going to be banned before the next Earth Hero, whenever that is, which probably may not even be soon. It may be in an armory deck. Some people have been talking about that's how they reintroduce some of these old LL heroes, is they give them armory decks. I don't like that idea. I think they would be expansion slots at most in booster sets. But
We'll bring that up in a minute. Holy cow.
Okay.
I like that. Okay, so the other point is I'm gonna read somebody's tweet that I pulled up a while ago. Actually, there's a couple of them, right? So,
Yeah.
So okay, so the way they have it written in here for Berserk specifically, and we were talking about how it's actually just completely uninteractable, right? Let's say I have an instant to play and they have an Intimidate on the stack. I can play the Sigil of Solace out of my hand and gain 3 life now. Cool. I still
but then
only
you just
have...
get triple.
Yeah, but then
you get triple intimmed and you're done.
Yeah, and so it's like, let's say it's only like a 1 intim turn, or like for one thing, or maybe 2, and so it's like, okay, so I can play the Sigil now, but they still intimidate a card out of my hand regardless, and then I'm down to 2 cards.
Yeah.
You're either at 3 cards and you played a Sigil, or at 3 cards and one of them could be a Sigil, or you're down to 2 cards and you played the Sigil, right? So
like it's the same.
Completely uninteractable, right? So in their words, they said at some point we have to admit there's mistakes. Berserk falls into that category.
About, like, design space with it.
Well,
I think they're talking more about design space with it, but like still.
But this line right here, where it's, if it ever achieves what it set out to do, it reduces Flesh and Blood to a game of reveal the top card of my deck until we see if my opponent is dead.
Yeah.
People didn't like that. People didn't like
I know.
that. People didn't like that wording because they think of another hero who mills the top of their deck searching for things that I believe you have some recent experience with. I like trying to avoid this is Joey. I love you, Joey. Joe Senart. He's the guy who runs the Coast of the Commotion events. I love that guy.
The coaxings.
Yeah, the coaxings. Yes. I like trying to avoid reveal the top card of my deck until we see if my opponent is dead, while also looking at Kano and saying, let's spend 5 minutes doing that like 10 times in a turn, but not bat an eye because something consistency or some crap. So how is Berserk different than Kano?
I'd like to quote someone else here.
Okay.
Kano is healthy for the game. Sorry, your deck with tons of value per turn can't actually pressure an opponent with only 30 life. Decks that do cool things should bully decks that don't do cool things.
Let's give a shout out to who said that, because they're Chad.
Anastasia.
I love that.
Annie. No, the actual argument that I give for this is the same one that James White gave, I think, in response to this actual tweet. Was Kano starts at 30 life.
Yeah.
He has literally 1 point of armor block at most.
He did respond to this tweet with that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Like, and like the sentiment
fragile hero in Flesh and Blood.
Yeah. The sentiment that Annie gives is right. It's like, you have no way in 80 cards to target this deck. Is that what you're saying? You have no way. It's impossible. Kano is quad intimming you in deck construction. Is that what you're saying? Is he removing the arcane barrier from your deck list?
It's not.
No.
Right? There is playground, as Kano players like to.
Yes.
Yeah. So Brendan would say, or like he would complain about
all the time, all the Kano hate that's printed. They've got 4 pieces of Spell Void now. They've got the Darkness set, but the biggest, all the brutes have AB2 on their hat.
And the biggest piece of Kano hate is even aggro decks are not even a 50-50 coin flip. It's like a 70. I forgot what he said, but it was like a 70-30 coin flip, where it's like the aggro decks could just run you right over. They don't need tech. Yeah. They just play their game plan.
Yeah.
Holy frick.
They might just kill you.
They might just do it. And
you're at 30 health. Deal 30 damage. Like, it's
Fight can
if you
present that
make
on one turn.
Here, I'll
Reinhardt
make this simpler.
Or KO.
I'll make this simpler. If you make Kano block, he can't combo you.
That's a great one. Oh my gosh! Like when you see, did we see it on stream? No, I don't think we did. But like, it's something known, right? So it's like Reinhardt versus Kano, and he plays barraging beatdown. And then the Kano
put Intim on the stack.
Cries, put Intim on the stack, and the Kano goes, ugh. And that's actually a perfect example of the difference between the Intimidate versus the Kano.
Yes.
Oh my god.
100%.
I thought of that all on my own.
Like that's exactly it. Kano doesn't get to do anything he wants to after that first Intimidate comes down if he lets it resolve. Unless he has set up with like triple energy potion or double energy potion or some nonsense. And the random piece that's intimed is not one he needs. We saw Kano make the finals of the calling and not win. Who beat him?
True.
It was a Kasai. Isn't that supposed to be a good matchup for Kano? Just unwinnable for Kasai?
Yeah. Right? Kasai's a setup deck. What's it supposed to do into Kano?
Apparently, like he did, hit him.
Hit him in the face. Twist his dick.
Are you telling me your KO deck that's built to do stupid numbers can't present 30 damage to a freaking wizard?
Okay, well, my Bravant deck really does struggle into...
Oh, I bet it does. Yeah, your mono chivalry Bravant. Yeah, you're really out there struggling.
Yeah, I gotta put in extra time on the politics. Holy frick. You can't win any other way. You gotta be like, man, this Kano, ugh.
You can't. Like... No, this comparison of Berserk to Kano is just not it. It's just not.
Yeah.
Also, then Brute has a fucking fridge now.
True. Well, they've always did. But it's even more.
They have more.
They've even more.
They have Bonebreaker now.
Oh my gosh. Like
you want to actually see a really scary Kano? Give him 10 points of armor in addition to all of his spell damage buffs.
And 10 health.
Or just give him 10 health.
No,
let him start at 40.
No, you have both.
Both?
Yeah, like Reinhardt.
Yeah, like Berserk Reinhardt? Yeah.
Yeah.
Let Kano start at 50. You want to see those games? You want to be really scared of Kano? Yeah, that'll be it, because I guarantee that's when we see every Kano go on like literally the Gigastack deck, which is Sinks, Fates, and Oasis, and they literally set up an uncounterable pitch stack to kill you.
Yep.
That is when it's a problem. That is when every game is 45 minutes, so they can set up triple Wildfire, triple Blazing into you. And they will.
So the Kano mirrors in that world would be insane. Who was it recently? Was it Majabay recently? I think it was him who was like, the neat thing about Kano mirrors is no one knows how to do them. Which was very cool.
He said he meant that in the past tense.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because a lot of people have been working on the Kano mirror for the last like 3 months, including him.
So crazy. I'm here for the Kano meta is all I'm saying. I think it's hype.
Like we drafted with Majin on Thursday night, and then Peter came down and they were like, all right, we need to go jam some Kano mirrors. And I'm like, shit, I ought to be in that room.
Oh my gosh. Well, you should have invited yourself. That would have been amazing.
No.
Okay, fair enough.
No, like they're specifically working on the Kano mirror and what it should look like. And if you watch them play the Kano mirror, they kind of destroy everyone else. Like,
all right,
it's crazy, and they're not comboing. They're not.
So crazy. It's
wild. They play it as a tempo deck.
It's so crazy.
Who's playing Berserk Reinhardt as a tempo deck?
They should. You know what? They should. Well, I guess they can't anymore. It's banned. All right. Next topic, I guess.
Yeah. Crown of Seas deserved it.
You evil man. All right, wait. Do you want to? As I read this quote and start going into the topic, can you translate what you just sent to me? Like you sent me a message. Can you translate it for me below it?
Yeah.
So Brian Gottlieb said 3 hours ago, because we're up to date on this is clearly the drama news headline, right? No, but like it's a really just funny take. Where
It's
so
he's done with people.
He's
just done with people.
Mad. I'm worried about his therapist. His therapist's help. I worry about his therapist's therapist. So he said, I personally would simply get better at limited. That's the whole tweet. Holy frick.
That's the entire
response
tweet.
to nobody, but it's actually in response to everybody, right? So like after the Pro Tour, this recent Pro Tour, but we've also been hearing it like after like almost every event with a draft in it. Yeah, people are complaining about draft. Not a lot of people, not everyone likes draft. Not everyone likes draft. There's a sizable number of people who are just sick of it, honestly. I love draft. I don't know. I can't get enough of it. Maybe it's because I'm too poor to draft as much as I want to draft. And maybe if I could draft 2 times a day, then I would eventually get sick of it. But I don't think so. I used the draft fab thing when that was legal. And I used it into the dirt. I would play a draft every day. It was unhealthy.
I mean, I know people who are doing 4 or 5 drafts a day leading up to this Pro Tour.
So good. I love drafting in general, and in Flesh and Blood, I like it a lot. So that's where my bias is right now, right? And so there's many people who were just like, the draft is just not there in Flesh and Blood. And I think Brian Gottlieb's had it up to here, which is he's worked on or worked around the Magic the Gathering scene, or I guess worked in the scene for many years. And there was a lot of complaints about limited and Magic, and he's done with it, right? So I guess we can get into some takes around that.
So, like, I'm not like, I don't dislike draft, but I don't like it, but I'm also not experienced in it. This is my first TCG competitively. I literally had never drafted before playing this game.
Have you drafted other games?
I'm still trash at it. No, still not yet.
We should do a Magic draft someday.
Okay.
Someday we should.
Yeah.
Like drafting, I just think drafting's amazing.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's for sure interesting. I think Flesh and Blood is almost always going to have an issue of rails, where you are inherently limited by your class, by the fact that you have a class for your deck. So which was one of the benefits that I saw to Bright Lights. Bright Lights was ludicrous as a draft format because it was every card is playable.
It was like Magic the Gathering kind of. Well, it's actually even. It's like
it was more open. It was monocolor.
Those are
like it was monocolor Magic.
Like if you had a blue cube,
a mono blue cube. Yeah, it was the equivalent of that. Where like you have like 4 or 5 archetypes within that cube. But like,
oh my gosh.
But like that was really interesting to me because all those rails were removed. And then we go to heavy hitters and suddenly the rails are back and it's not as bad as Monarch. Monarch was pretty bad. Monarch is very on rails. You are in a seat by pick 4 and if you guessed wrong, good luck.
Sucks.
Yeah. If you're the third Bolton, you're dead.
I'll get into that in a second. Right. So
but like
yeah.
So like I understand when people have issues with limited in this game.
Yeah.
Like I understand where they come from. I think it's good that it's a format for the game. I remember when they, for the first Worlds, they did 5 CC, 5 Blitz, and 2 pods of draft. I thought that should have been 5cc3 draft, 5cc3 blitz.
But then you have to play Blitz.
I'll make that LL.
I'm the guy about Blitz that everyone is about draft. I'm just like,
make it LL.
I would watch LL. That would be pretty sick.
Like that's like have limited there, have draft be there. Yeah, that's fine.
Do you think I think LSS, some people have complained, but I think LSS may have made a statement saying that 3 formats was too many. Do you think it's too many?
Was, I think having LL be one of the formats would alleviate some of that discomfort. Because that is there, as opposed to Blitz. Because Blitz, as another rotating format, CC's not eternal.
True.
Blitz is not eternal.
True.
Having 2 rotating formats is a pain, because also you don't know if that hero's going to LL the day before Worlds starts.
Hopefully you should have an idea. Holy frick.
Yeah. But like having LL a truly eternal, like the actually eternal format, and a known ban list for it, like 6 weeks out every time, I'm cool with that. That's good. You're not worried about rotation. You could literally bring Starvo every year.
And probably go at worst 1 and 2.
You probably could just go 2-1 every year if you just played Starvo and played a half dozen games to refresh on it. Like, that's not Blitz, where funny. Suddenly every year you have an entirely different Blitz format, the same way you have an entirely different CC format, except for actually last year and the year before, because the only difference was Oldham for Bravo. But yeah.
Okay.
So like I don't.
Yeah.
Circling back.
Go ahead.
I didn't see a ton of complaints about limited.
I saw a few.
All the complaints were, I saw like a couple, not a ton. I saw way more that were complaining about the ELO system still.
I like ELO.
But like, I do too. I think there are some adjustments that they could make to ELO, but not a huge number. But ELO is working the way it is set up to.
Okay, so back to draft, because now we're getting into going into different topics.
Now we're off.
So I'm gonna just read a bunch, right? So Brian Gottlieb, original tweet. I personally would simply get better at limited, right? And so this next response actually really does a good job of encapsulating the kind of complaint people were having that was making Brian pop blood blisters on his head. I feel like this response, this is by Anders TV. I don't know who this is, but they know something about Flesh and Blood. They got a blue check mark. That means they're important. I feel like this response is a bit missing the forest for the trees, just to get a snark in. At least from what I've seen, the criticism isn't, I'm mad, I'm bad at limited. You are. It's limited is quantifiably less popular, less widely enjoyed, and a less viewed format. Why does it play such a major role? Simply getting good doesn't address the valid points being made by some. I don't have a horse in this race for what it's worth. Okay, I didn't see that line. That's funny. Oh, he's a Val coach. Oh, that's interesting. Brian was like, and I think I understand why he broke it down as much as he did in these next 2 tweets. Now is because this guy doesn't have a horse in the race. But Brian was like, it's a core and crucial part of our game. It's what we started it as was stated from the beginning, and it will always be. Making a Twitter post saying you disagree with that, and so do your 30 friends who have played every Pro Tour, isn't quantitative proof, nor is it useful. Getting better will be. I don't have a ton of patience for this, because Magic's been going on for this has been going on in Magic for 25 years, and the exact same arguments for limited. There's multitudinous good reasons why limited has preserved despite this, and it'll be the same in FAB. I don't know. Limited, is it quantifiably less popular, less widely enjoyed, and a less viewed format?
Yes. So,
okay.
And I think there's actually a fairly there. I think there is a reason for that, and I'm not sure if this is it, but it popped into my head and it's hard for me to discount. We're used to Constructed Flesh and Blood, especially now, being a much lower variance game than previous TCGs have been. And Limited, it reintroduces some of that variance.
Was that a thing?
Not for everyone. A lot of people left Magic because they didn't like that variance. And so when that variance comes back in Limited, where you are in the right seat for pack 1, and then pack 2 and pack 3 are just dry and weak. Also, if this is in response to the other complaints about like collation or box mixing or stuff like that from the PTs, that's a separate thing.
I don't think it is. Completely separate thing, I think.
I think that's a separate thing.
Brian also responded to those as well.
He did.
Yeah.
He did specifically respond to that. But like
he definitely had a different tone when responding to those.
Yes.
So
yes, very much. But like it does introduce that variance again because you have a little bit more inconsistent decks and you can't control everything. It depends on which people you get paired against in the pod. Did you hit the one Guardian in round 1? Like all these things increase your variance. And that's something that people like about Flesh and Blood. Like when I've heard people talk about Flesh and Blood and why they like it and why they don't play other games as much anymore, it's because it has less variance.
I guess that makes sense. Okay, so let me bring up why it might not have less variance. This is cheating. I understand that. But Yuki Bender. Right? Okay, so that's cheating, right?
It is.
So she does.
Yes.
And so Yuki Lee Bender, professional, I would say professional Flesh and Blood player from Canada, has won many tournaments, has a podcast with Jay, and On the Bobble. And it's
sorry. Yes.
It's literally about draft.
Limited.
It's just limited in draft Flesh and Blood, and these guys are so good at it.
Yeah.
Like Jay just like rocks up to events that they didn't qualify for and just wins all the draft side events around him. And then Yuki, as we saw in it was in World 6-0 on draft.
Barcelona World 6-0 draft after starting 4-0 CC as well. Like
Do you think if you do 100 games of draft leading into a big tournament, you could guarantee yourself at minimum 2-1?
Me?
A human.
Personally?
A professional. A human. A professionally minded individual.
I don't think you can guarantee yourself 2-1, but I think you give yourself very good odds at it. I think you have better odds of guaranteeing yourself a 3-1 in a CC section than a 2-1 in a draft section. With the same number of games.
I will concede that it's like to go from 0 to 60% in a draft probably doesn't take too much. Like I feel like you could get there with like literally 1 to 2 drafts. But to get from 60 to 80
on each class,
yeah. And then to get to like 80, you're gonna need like 10 drafts, and then to get to 100, you're gonna need like 50. Like you were getting
100 drafts.
Yeah, you're gonna need. It's gonna have wildly diminishing returns, and you're gonna be having to do a lot of hours of literally just spitballing with people. Like, how about this in this scenario, or this in this scenario? And
no, like I think we do see proof of this. I think in calling Hartford, because I think there was 2 people from Team Runaways in top 8, and there was another 2 in top 16, and that's off the back of their draft prep because they run the Discord that does online drafts now.
Yeah,
like they had done probably 100 drafts. Some of them had probably done 100 plus drafts going into Hartford, aka release weekend of the set. Yeah. Like they were just better prepared than everyone else, and they showed up and they rolled that event basically, except Mark Morrison, who also they said knew draft better than they did.
So
I think somebody specifically said, I think no, it was Michael Fang.
Yeah.
When Michael Fang was talking to him, I think during the interview or after the interview or something, he was like, "This guy just understands it better than everyone else. Like this format, he understands it better than everyone else, and that's why he rolled it."
Gosh,
Like, he made it look easy.
So is this what Brian means by get better?
Yeah.
So that's an interesting
like, honestly, yes.
Yeah. So like Flesh and Blood also, you know, it's not just that it's low variance is what attracts people. It's really hard. And some people like the challenge of Flesh and Blood. Is it attractive for Flesh and Blood's limited to be just as hard? Like, if you're going to roll people at a limited event, you need to put in hours and you need to practice, and it's hard. Is that just as attractive as CC's?
I think
difficulty?
No, not quite.
Okay.
And there's the reason, I think, is because this is going to sound weird, but for me, the reason is the cost. I know.
That's even weird coming out of you.
I know. So here's the thing. If you're talking about doing one draft a week, how much does that cost you?
More than I have budget for. What's that, 15 bucks? 40 bucks?
45 bucks? How much does it cost you to do 100 drafts in prep for an event?
Too much? Too much.
Where you don't get to keep the cards for the next event. Every single one of those draft decks is bulk.
Yep.
And just goes away. Like, that cost is real.
This is
like,
why
we were excited.
This is how the world should work, by the way, right? Idiots want to go pro. They buy boxes to draft, and then geniuses who play UPF buy singles. This is how the community rotates. Everyone take notes. All right, let's go back to the topic.
No, like we brought one box to draft for LA.
Yeah.
And we were excited that we had a box. That we could bring a box to LA. And I guarantee Wolfpack had at least 3 cases. And I guarantee Runaways probably had 5 cases that they were drafting from.
It is a luxury hobby for a reason, right? Like,
it is.
It's
100%.
Jeez.
But like that, and like, and
like,
I will say,
you said we brought a box to draft, and I was like, that's a lot. Oh yeah, you brought a whole box,
dude.
And then you're like, well, these people bought, you know, cases and cases.
I don't know. I'm just guessing. But knowing how they run their boot camps.
God
like,
dang.
And this is also like with Runaways running their online drafts, like everyone has access to that resource at this point. If you have access to Discord and the internet, but like it's still not the same. Nope, it's free.
Oh wow, I should get in on that.
You should, but like it is not cheap.
No,
to get that amount of draft practice. If like you're not just going to grind online drafts. And also, I think there's a big difference between drafting by yourself in paper and having 3 people in a Discord call on the same draft seat, like what we were doing. Because like we had like 2 weeks where every night we would go on and we would do a draft on Runaways, and it's 3 of us in the same seat talking about what the pick should be.
Oh my gosh, y'all a bunch of cheaters.
And that was our practice. What do you expect when people like Ben Dodd and all those people like calling winners are in those pods?
Yeah.
No.
You go over it. You go over it with other people. I get that.
Yeah. I gave that idea to Wolfpack too. I guarantee they had times where there was 5 Wolfpack members on a call for 1 seat in one of those drafts.
Dude.
I guarantee it.
All right.
But like it's that is something that like for me does not motivate me to play draft, is that this is just, it is a pile of bulk that I will leave behind at the end of the night and not care. I just spent $15 to play 3 games when I can bring the deck I've already paid for and play 3 games.
So I think this also loops back around too. So why do people play limited in Magic, right? So like there's some people that all they do is they play limited, right? You've heard the story about like the people who just they'll buy in at like $15. They'll draft a deck they think is cool and take all the good cards that are, you know, not rare draft, but like, you know, get the
fun draft.
They fun draft, and then they take the expensive cards, they sell them back to the store for like, I don't know, $7, and then you've got your, you know, your part of your money back for the draft, and you had a great time playing it. There's not that in Flesh and Blood right now. One,
that does not happen.
A lot of communities are too small to support weekly drafts, and Flesh and Blood,
let alone singles markets.
Yeah, the singles market is not in the same kind of place.
It's not for like LGSs are not in the Flesh and Blood singles market anymore from what I've seen. Like they're just not nearly.
Yeah.
Like every LGS I go to has Magic singles. Every single one. All of them. I think I don't have an LGS near me that does. I think I have one that does regular Flesh and Blood singles, and they're not cracking sealed product. They're singles that people sold to them.
So it's interesting. I guess we know Flesh and Blood is making a profit, right? They've did that whole thing where they, talked to people and they were just like, yeah, we have no investors. We have no debt. We just make profit.
Which is sick.
Which is super awesome. But I wonder how invested they would feel they need to be into. I'm not the person to even speculate on how to fix Flesh and Blood single market. If it needs fixing, because they're making profit. Does it even need fixing? I mean, I guess in some ways, kinda, but like, I don't know. Like this, it's kind of a big whole thing. Like it all wraps around on top of itself in the sense of people aren't doing regular drafts because maybe they can't sell the singles from it to recoup the draft costs, and then. And that's just one small reason. There
are so few singles that are worth reselling from your draft.
I don't know. Just makes me wish I was Canadian. Just makes me wish I was at Yuki's store week over week, and then also found $15 a week. That'd be so crazy, right? Maybe I make more money in Canada.
No, the conversion rate just makes it the same.
Dang. Oh, well. Okay, so some smaller topics, I guess, we can get into? Or is there any more you wanted to say on that? Get good at
I don't think so. Some people didn't like his tone on this, but I was fine with it.
Tone's fine. I like the tone. Yeah, I guess actually okay we should wrap it up anyways in an appropriate way where it's do people just need to get better at limited? Are they just throwing a hissy fit over limited? And it's a little bit.
I think it is a hard format, and I think it is a less popular format, so you're just less likely to do it, which also means you're less likely to have experience of prior draft sets going into whatever the current one is.
Yeah.
I know that's my problem. Yeah. I have maybe 30 drafts total in my career.
We need to play.
That's not a lot.
Draft. Write that down before I forget it.
I went into a PT with maybe 15 drafts total.
God damn.
In my career.
But I think it
was bad.
Yeah, I think I would agree.
But I also.
Yeah, I think we have to agree with the statement of just get better at limited, because that is a thing you could do, in theory.
Yeah.
It's just really hard to do right now.
There's also a fair number of responses here that are just yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
it's that simple.
Just get better.
Even Nick Butcher's response is just, I did. And he went, Nick Butcher started 0-2 at the
Holy
PT.
Frick.
He lost on stream, and then he lost to Tim. He ended 11-3.
So crazy. 11-3.
He minimum.
I didn't realize that. That's actually really cool.
He minimum went 5-1 in draft.
Oh my gosh.
He lost a single game in the next 12 rounds.
Holy frick.
He ended up 10th after starting 0-2. If people are going to be oh, this is your tone's terrible. What is this? You're going to
I don't care about
Lucas's response. All of that talk, it's no, just actually get better at the game, get better at understanding the game. Limit is about your fundamentals, your fundamental understanding of the game, and your ability to win Flesh and Blood games. That's it. And I say that knowing that I am trash at it by comparison. Like, the people who are throwing hissy fits on this are the ones who think they should be winning more than they are. I'm going to say that.
That's good. I like that. Holy frick. It's true, too. Jeez. Also, every time... See, do you want to know my problem with Limited? My problem with Limited is me actually just having a problem around Limited. And what I mean by that is I go into every Limited draft thinking I'm the hottest stuff in the world. No one can out-draft these fingers. And then... and then sometimes I go 3-0 and it feeds this awful ego, and sometimes I go 0-3 and then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm human. All right. So yeah, get good, but also draft could be a little better. Sealed is gonna be 8 packs.
Yes.
Oh, that's gonna make sealed so much better. It has to, right?
I don't know.
It's so...
I don't know.
Okay, no, screw speculating because I hate speculating, but very exciting.
Sure. I want to put the asterisk on there that they put Bright Lights at 4 packs for a reason.
It's so... Dude, Bright Lights at 3 packs, I still thought was really fun. Yes. Crack Shuffle Play. I did it like 6 times. I love it. Anyways, very coin flippy.
Yeah.
Very coin flippy, and you pick your opponent's hero. That ended up being a thing after like the 3rd time we did it. We were like, no, you just pick Teklovasan every time. So pick your opponent's hero.
Yeah.
All right. So real quick, these are small topics. Well, actually, before them, in the past week, we've had Kanako VT follow us, and Ali Deanne, I'm just trying to say names, followed us earlier today. I think I know who they are. I really appreciate it. Real quick, smaller topics. TCG talk. I forgot if I said this at the beginning of the show or if I said it before we started the show. He posted, that TCG player posted, something that I'm gonna have to pull up. All right, where is it? Did you find it before I did?
No.
All right. Are you just reading more Brian Gottlieb's ass?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah. All right, so Dylan, TCG talk. He said he posted that TCG player posted, this little blurb in the next upcoming set. Alongside these majestic heroes, LSS also teased a mechanic for equipment that allows you to keep these cards face down until the perfect moment to flip them face up and reveal their power to your opponents. That sounds pretty ninja-like. Like, I believe that for a ninja.
I think it's just going to be Mystic. It works for all 3 of the classes.
It works for all 3 of the classes really well. Assassin and Ninja, but then also like even Illusionist. Illusionist. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty hype. I'm trying to think like I wonder if there's going to be a legendary that does that, or if it's only going to be common and rare equipment. That was my initial thought. I was like, that sounds like a really cool draft mechanic.
Yeah. I think because this is something that they've posted on their different under some of their products is there's variations on equipment and weapons, I think.
Oh. How do you mean that?
I think this might. I don't know. Like for this. So there's 3. Yes. Oh. So in their Playday promos, because for heavy hitters, they did the 6 hats.
Yeah. For
this one, they're doing 3 weapons. And I think they specifically say there's 1 of each variant.
Variant?
Which I think means they do slightly different things. So there's 2 ninja weapons. And there's 2 illusionist weapons. And 2 assassin weapons. And it'd be really interesting if you didn't know which one your opponent was using until they used it.
Oh my gosh, a weapon is an equipment.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! You imagine you're like, you sit down across from Betsy and she's got her weapon flipped over, and you're expecting High Riser, and then boom, it's Miller's Grindstone. So,
is it Hot Streak or is it Parry Blade you're blocking?
oh my gosh! Is it? And it's just, oh my gosh! It could be something like a weapon that just says, you know, pay 1, deal 2, and then
are they on Iris or are they on Luminaris?
All right, next. All right, next. All right, next. Next. Tilt the piss out of me. All right. You mentioned Armory deck, and I forgot what we were talking about it for. Was there something to talk about? What was the point that I was going to bring up about Armory decks? Or you brought up at one point on the table it.
Reintroducing heroes.
Oh, reintroduce. Like if they just print Icelander in an Armory deck. Maybe not Icelander, but like...
I think Icelander would actually be the one that they do that for, because I think they just want to do Aria V2, where they have that little triangle again. Elemental Boogaloo.
Yeah, so what would that look like? Do you put in the same
for the Armory deck
Icelander?
Like this is my issue with this is my issue with returning Icelander as an Armory deck. One, it can't be the same Icelander. It can't.
No, it can't.
No, it can't.
It just can't.
Literally. No. As much as I'd love to have that deck back and play it again,
gone.
It's too good for what they're trying to do with the game.
Yes,
if absolutely busted, it would run the game over.
1.0.
Yeah. It would be the new adult Icelander, and it would probably be 80% reprints, Aether Ice Veins, Amulet of Ice, stuff like that.
All the
maybe
blues.
one or two copies of CLF.
Well, we don't know what Majestic Legendary rates look like, but
sure. And then probably one or two new cycles of rares and commons and a new set of Majestics.
That would be cool.
In that deck.
That's hype. I would include one legendary.
I would not include a legendary. I would include a new Majestic equipment.
Fine. Two, and we'll call it even.
No. That's
I want them to be like way above rate.
What are you no.
Like
because then you're going to completely
$40 deck is worth, like $60 worth of cards when it comes.
They will not remain $40 then.
Well, yeah, that's the point.
No, that's bad.
That's bad.
Do you want them selling for $80 like the new Commander decks from Modern Horizons 3?
That does not taste good.
Agreed, for many reasons. But
then you just make more.
Like, I would rather they be slightly weaker and that some of your old cards retain their power level.
All right, so
because those cards are plenty strong, especially as Fab gets toned down.
Yes,
those cards are still going to be good.
Yes,
and you don't need to power creep them out.
So, what else are we? I guess how am I trying to say this? So, like, if putting new old heroes in the Armory decks,
I think it won't work.
You think it won't work?
No. I think it's a bad way to go.
Why?
Because then you end up with the Glistening Steelblade problem, but potentially just worse. Like,
that's a good point.
It's not necessarily going to be worse, and it depends on how many cards they want to reintroduce the class with.
Yes.
Vinset was Shadow Runeblade being reintroduced with like an entirely new suite of rares, majestics, and commons, like a different class almost. You have to do that in a full set. You can't do that in an Armory deck. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
If you were to reintroduce Icelander, but give her just like another place, like two new majestics, another playset of rares, another playset of commons. You could do that in an armory deck, and it would feel kind of bad, I think, because you can easily run into the Glistening Steelblade problem. I feel like I would be very cautious about it.
Well, Glistening Steelblade had a lot of problems that these armory decks wouldn't necessarily have, right?
Not necessarily.
Like you get one Glistening Steelblade instead of 3, which is
it depends on a bunch of.
If they put it depends on a bunch of stuff, and they don't put in 3 of them. Brian Golly.
Yes, that's when you really have a problem.
Yes.
The other way they can do it is if this hero is close enough to their old version that they keep basically all the same rares and commons, they reintroduce them in an expansion slot with probably 2 new Majestics and a piece of equipment, all of which are expansion slot. And for that set, expansion slot is slightly easier to get.
Is that better? Is that what you're saying?
I think that's probably the best way to do it, other than just doing Aria 2 Elemental Boogaloo.
Well, I really want that.
I think that could be dope, where they fully reintroduce Lexi, like Lexi, Oldham, and Briar all come back in that set. That's a great way to do that. Because I want to do Aria block constructed. And then, I think that'd be sick.
That would be sick. And then you'd have
I want to do something like that.
You'd have to have potions and block constructed. And talismans and amulets. Because it's a 3. No, it's a 3. It's a 3.
No, you wait for Aria 3. It's not Everfest.
This guy. All right.
No, like those 3 like make sense. You can do them together. Prism and Chain got their sort of replacements. Like we got Light Illusionist and Shadow Runeblade back. Dromai now basically just ready to go as well. And some people are saying like, oh, Dromai's going to be back in like 6 months. No, she's not.
I hope not. Jeez, like a part of the LL system is they're supposed to give everyone a break.
Yes.
Right? Like
it's going to be at least a year. Oh, there's no way it's less than a year. And they might have Dromai ready to go. That doesn't mean she's going to end up in a set. Like that doesn't mean she could physically be printed in the next year, even. But I will say, if they did armory decks to reintroduce these new heroes, they can do those and have them ready to go, and then on shelves 3 months later after LL happens. Because they can print a full run of those and have them sitting there ready before the hero even hits LL.
That's actually really neat.
And they can pick, because they're doing like one every like 2 months.
Yeah.
They can pick which 2 month window they want to put this hero back in the meta.
Oh. Okay. I got another question, right? So like some people, so a part of the complaint is the Steelblade, whatever, bull crap. So part of the complaint is that you can only get these certain cards from buying a box.
Yeah.
Let's say the box prices stay normalized and don't wildly inflate. It's what, like $40? Is that fine?
For armory decks? Let's say
there's a single Majestic you want out of the armory deck. It's $40 fine. It's a string of Majestics. You get all 3 that you need.
Is it one? It is a play set. It is not 3 new Majestics and you get 1 of each.
No. Like, let's say like it's the Icelander one. The only thing that's not a reprint is a single Majestic, and it's like Frostex Alpha
Frostex
Omega.
V2. Yeah, Frostex V2, and there's 3 copies of it.
Yeah. It's $40 fine.
I think the prices are going to be very reasonable, I think, at that point.
So
because you're getting the Icelander hero. I assume they're going to put like EA Ice Veins or something in there as well. And then you get the new Majestic, and that'll be fine. Because you're functionally paying $40 for a playset of Majestics, which I assume will be staples. I trust them on that.
They'd probably have to be.
Yeah. I'll put it this way. A playset of Figments for Prism is about $100 right now. For 8 cards.
Normal? Wait, like normal lowest?
Yes. Min rarity are $100.
Oh my
They're short printed, but that's your playset, which puts each of them at about $12.50, which puts 3 of them at, let's see, 36.5.
Well, actually,
37.5.
That's not, but
which is
that's fair,
pretty close to your $40
quick math
armory deck.
Oh my gosh. You're right. They're going to not reprint it. They're not going to make any new cards except for one string of Majestics. I keep saying string. One playset of Majestics.
Yes. Like, if that's the way they do it and that's where it ends up, that's fine. But, like, that's because you're getting a whole playset of them in that deck, where an individual only needs to buy the one, regardless of whether or not that individual is picking up the hero for the first time or not. And then returning player or player returning to the hero gets a little something extra, a little foil extended art Ice Vein or non-foil extended art Ice Vein if they want to go that way.
Or maybe, some other kind of promo that they can sell or hold on to, whatever they want to do.
Rainbow Foil Waning Moon, because we don't have that. We have Cold Foil.
Oh,
so
wow.
I don't think anyone would want to use Rainbow Foil. But, like...
No, you use it so they can say you use it, yeah.
Yeah, they can... There are options for them to do that if they do it right.
I think it's all,
I trust them to.
I trust them to do it right, and I think it's all going to be like awesome.
I think they have learned some lessons the hard way, and they have showed that they have learned those lessons. So I'm inclined to trust them.
They've also learned from other people, right? So they talked a lot about how they were like, with Round the Table, we brought in the professor, and the professor said, I refuse to put my name on this product.
Yeah.
Until we make some
he's
changes.
He's been very public about that too, that he like turned it down multiple times until it was something he was like, this is something I will buy.
Yes.
Like, he made that very clear. So, like, if that's the way they want to go for, like, particular heroes, like, I'll take oh, God. I'm trying to remember. Like, I don't think they're just going to bring back Starvo. I think they'd rather bring back Oldhim as Elemental Guardian.
I think they could. Is there something wrong with the concept of Elemental Guardian 3 elements? Like, what if it's a blank hero text? Is that a problem? And let's say they don't have Bravo in the title.
I don't know.
Like, it's a different title other than Bravo. Oldhim,
if it was literally blank text,
3 elements, blank.
I don't know, honestly. For Bravo, probably, simply because of the specs that he gets.
More of that. Also, just the immediate backlash that absolutely everyone.
Yes, there would be a lot of backlash. Oh wow, okay, so our LL list is like
it's getting
fairly
long.
Nicely grouped. Well, yeah, there's 7, but they're all like in nice little groups.
We as a community
like Prism
did a great job to send them off in
Prism and Chain.
Yeah.
Prism and Chain.
Yeah.
All the 3 original Tails heroes, and then the 2 extra Tails heroes of Icelander and Starvo.
Well, poor Briar getting the short end of the stick and having to, hang out a little further down the line. Right? When did Briar come out?
Sort of.
Or when did Briar LL as opposed to Icelander Lexi?
Before them.
Oh, man, I am so wrong with my timeline right now. Holy frick.
That was Nats last year. That was last August.
I don't have the pandemic to like make an excuse of my brain to
fall back on. Nah.
No, now I just am stupid on history. All right, I think we're gonna wrap it up there. Unless you got anything else to say about armory decks, I think they're gonna be dope. I'm gonna get every single one. What's First Strike? What's First Strike?
We don't know.
Yeah, but what is it?
I don't know. It might be their new version of Blitz decks where they decide to untie Blitz decks from particular sets. I think that's probably not gonna. I think that's not good.
I think we're not getting. No, I mean, no, it can't be Blitz decks because they're already doing a thing with Blitz decks in Mistveil, right?
Oh, they are? Okay, they have announced that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they did.
It's gonna be like you just get a box and it's gonna have all 3 in a playmat or something, which is
the collection.
But I think that's gonna be we're not doing Round the Table this year. We're doing First Strike, whatever that is. I think it's just gonna be its own special standalone. kind of like Round the Table was. So, because I think at this point I'm predicting we don't get Round the Table, and I'm upset about that. But
Round the Table 2.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, let's wrap it up. Kevin, do you have any shout outs?
What was it? Webcam UPF you threw up?
Webcam UPF.
Put up there?
Well, we had a UPF video that we came out with where it was Channel Chase. Absolutely loved it. Then we've been getting webcam games of UPF. And
you didn't
one
put library in Channel Chase.
Yeah, we did.
You only had 2 locations.
What do you mean? What are you talking about? You had two landmarks and 4 channels. No, we had library. Because everyone threw a fit over it. Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Because every time it showed up, no, there was like a whole thing, like in the proper gameplay, the edited one. Tim did this whole thing where he was like, next. No one's got yellows in their decks. I think my deck had exactly 2 yellows. It would show up and then everyone just immediately roll to the next thing. Or in the gameplay that we just put up, so we've been doing webcam UPF on Twitch Mondays at 8 Eastern, and we did one where we played Channel Chase, and it was interesting because the third to last card in it was Library. And we knew the only 2 other cards left was Channel Lake Frigid and Channel the Bleak Expanse, which were detrimental to specifically Melody because she wouldn't be able to draw cards. And then the other one would mean her combo would all cost 1 every time she tried to draw a card. And so like everyone was kind of going out of their way to not roll. And so Library stuck around for a while, doing nothing. So Channel Chase is great, but yeah, we've been doing webcam UPF Monday nights at 8. We've also been trying to do we're trying to get a European time that's a little easier. So for our time it's 2:30 at 8. I think it's Central Europe is like it's like 8:30 or 7:30 or something like that. And then also this weekend on the 30th, we are going to try PvE, the Overlord Engine 2, which looks very nice. And I've had a lot of people. I'll be honest, I'm not hyped about freaking PvE at all. But I've had a lot of people ask me about it, and so I've leaned into it, learned all about it, and I'm planning to like run the event, and I'm pretty excited. Mostly excited to just run the event more than anything. So, all right, so that's what's coming up. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye.